Dr. Wairimu Mbogo is the president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya, and she's our guest. She is going to take us through 1 hour of understanding who a pharmacist is and also pharmaceutical products and how to safely use them and not to get into an area of abusing them. Daktari, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us.
I'm happy to be here.
So how do we greet you? Happy World Pharmacist Day.
Yes. So happy World Pharmacist Day. Because at any one point you've used medicine. So yes.
You've interacted with.
You've interacted.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Jano is going to begin you with a quote.
Okay.
Right? A word that was said. Let's see whether they make sense to you today.
Okay.
It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Tsitsi Dangaremba from Zimbabwe once said, when the structures are sick, the people cannot be well. Yes. Reflect on that. Yes.
So, scientists don't know humanities. So that's one thing that scientists are not good at. But when the structures are sick, the human...
the people cannot be well.
Yes, because humans derive or live on structure. Everything has to have a process, and this process has to be something that is boosting efficiency, something that is validated, and is something that should be working for the good of the people. So people don't thrive on chaos. The world does not thrive on chaos. So I believe that's the basics of what I get out of it. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yes.
And as the leader of the Society of Pharmacists, right? I'm sure one of the things that you do and you'll tell us is advocacy.
Yes.
So are there structures that help your profession and industry to thrive, and so that then the people do not misunderstand you and the work that you do. So what's a society? What's a Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya?
So I know you've said that my name is Wairimu Mbogo, but I think it's important that we say that I'm the first female president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya in 60 years.
That's amazing.
Wow. Yes.
So
the firsts come with a lot of pressure, definitely. But basically, the society is the umbrella body of now we are over 5,000 pharmacists in Kenya. And a pharmacist and our current anchoring is based on 4 pillars. That is what was on my manifesto. So we are focusing on education, how we learn and engage. Policy, which is what I believe we'll talk about today. Policy advocacy, how we make sure that the pharmaceutical care is safe. Innovation, because we have to keep up with the times. And then there's collaboration, which is also part of what we're doing. And the good thing is that we say that pharmacists are epic. If you look at that, it forms epic. And pharmacists are epic. And everything is anchored. The vision is based on Section 43(1)(a) of the Constitution that says that every Kenyan, by the Kenyans, you have the right to the highest attainable standard of care. So we are saying that for pharmaceutical care, PSK is the umbrella body that houses all the experts. So we are the ones who define what that highest attainable standard of care is when it comes to pharmaceutical care. Yes.
You're a doctor.
Yes.
Are you a medical doctor? Are you a pharmaceutical doctor? What's the difference between Dr. Wairimu, the pharmacist, and another Dr. Wairimu, who's a doctor?
So, first of all, there's curriculum because the medical officer or the medical doctor, as we know, does what we call MBCHB. So they do medicine and surgery. Then the pharmacist does the patient aspects of medicine, so they can do basic diagnosis and management of conditions. They don't do surgery. Then, in addition to that, then we learn more about the product. That's the pharmaceutical product and how the body interacts with that medicine at a deeper level. So we first learn what is normal, like how does the body function, and then we learn how do chemicals interact and what are the dysfunctions and how does this come and repair that function. So today we are working in a multidisciplinary manner. So you'll find that teams, ward rounds, you'll find your medical doctor, you'll find your pharmacist, you'll find your nutritionist. But the basics is that as healthcare becomes more complex, you can't know everything. So you need someone to check on the safety aspect of what is being diagnosed, the interactions, how one affects the other. So it's a whole complex aspect of what we learn for 5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
So Kenyans, we have there's a gap as far as knowing what a pharmacist actually does.
Yes.
And then there's what we tell people who we think are pharmacists. You walk into any place that dispenses medicine of any sort, and you say, "Daktari nasikia malaria." And then you ask them to dispense a drug.
Yes.
So walk us through the members of the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya. Are they only pharmacists, or are there others in that umbrella? And then what is the work of a pharmacist versus someone who is dispensing drugs only versus all of that? You know, you said like pharmacists can do basic diagnosis, things like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I like that, the country is now moving from just healthcare to quality of care for the patient. So when it comes now to the pharmacists, so a pharmacist is a university trained 5-year degree program. And if we are to look at hours, we are talking about thousands of hours. I would say it's about 4,000 hours, 4,000, 5,000 hours of training. So we do 5 years of training and then 1 year of internship.
Right.
And then you have to there's an exam sometimes before internship and an exam that you must do after the internship. And then you get registered. Then you get your license after that. Then we have now, and even in the International Labour Organization, the professional in pharmacy is the pharmacist.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how the ILO or even the Kenya Labour Organization classifies. And then we have the diploma. Then we have those who train in diploma in pharmacy. So they do 3 years, 3 years of pharmacy training. And then now they go into an internship and then they have to do an exam. And then they get what you call an enrollment certificate. So the challenge, and now even now with pharmacy, there's advancement. So you have clinical pharmacists, and once we talk about the journey of the medicine, I'll be able to break down now where the different pharmacists are playing. But on the basic outlook of it, previously, I think in healthcare, we validated what you call task shifting, because there were not only the University of Nairobi was training pharmacists, so there were very few. So in terms of outreach, there were not too many pharmacists. So the country allowed the diploma holders who are pharmaceutical technologists to sort of take up roles that are similar to a pharmacist.
Right.
But now we are saying that we now need to move to where global standards or just basic best practices are, where we define what we are calling the scope of the pharmacist and the pharmaceutical technologist. And the Pharmacy and Poisons Board is doing a very good job, because they have what you call the Good Pharmaceutical Practices Guideline that is now defining that. It's in the process, and we are hoping that it's something that will come out very soon. But all in all, the country in general is looking at advancing and being at a better regulatory status. So regulatory status, I'll do a lot of definitions, then we can go into the conversation. So regulatory status is where all countries in the world have a healthcare authority. So the healthcare authority for us is the Pharmacy and Poisons Board. So then WHO classifies level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. So for us to be able to be seen as a country that has a mature health system from a safety side of the patient and also from a medical side, we need to be at WHO maturity level 3. But we are currently at level 2.
Okay.
Yes.
How do you then move to level 3?
So WHO, I know the Pharmacy and Poisons Board is working very hard. They're now doing a lot of laws that are governing now the different structures, because WHO now looks at how are you licensing, how are you inspecting, how are you looking at the safety, what we call pharmacovigilance of medicine. So they walk through the journey of the medical or the drug from manufacture to the point it gets to you as the patient, and they look at the circumstances around it, who is handling what. And what is common is that countries that have attained ML3, from a scope of practice perspective, have pharmacists as the responsible partner. I know, when you're talking about structures and there's also governance that comes in.
Yes.
So there has to be an element of accountability and responsibility to what happens if something goes wrong.
Okay.
So we say when a pharmacist makes a mistake, we affect thousands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just do two quick fire questions.
Yes.
One, the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya, does it have pharmacists and pharmaceutical technologists or just pharmacists?
Just pharmacists.
Just pharmacists.
Just pharmacists.
Okay. Can pharmaceutical technologists make basic diagnosis?
I believe that there are risks around what would say is basic, because they can do, if a child has a flu, they can figure out that, what to do, what the risks are and all. But challenges come in when there is no referral or the ability or the conscience to make quick risk factors. And that's where the healthcare task aspects, that's where the difference is. Are you able now to look at issues from a holistic perspective and move the patient very quickly to the next level? Or are you staying with the patient very long to the level now things
doing
are
more harm.
things are now complicating? Or even from a medication perspective, the pharmacist is able now to look at a patient from the point of, this patient has I'll talk about some conditions. So a patient may have diabetes, hypertension, and then this patient also has renal failure, then they have cancer. So a pharmacist has the ability to now rationalize this patient, because this patient will see a diabetes doctor, a renal doctor, a hypertension doctor, then they will see also an oncologist. Please know that those four, they do not manage all these other aspects. So the pharmacist now becomes the factor in between, where now we are defining, we are able now to look at this patient and rationalize the medication that they are on, so that now even this medication does not do harm to that patient.
The other conditions.
Yes, so that is where the differences now come in, and that's where now the risk factors
come in
to
as
look
well.
at. Yes.
Chemists are also pharmacists. So when people say so and so is a chemist, what do they
What do they mean?
What do they
No.
mean?
Is that a thing? That
It's
even-
true.
Yeah.
A lot of people interchange the two.
Nilienda kwa chemist.
Nilienda kwa chemist.
Nikapata huyo chemist.
Yes.
That's the first one. I'll come to the next question. But yeah, off the bat.
Yes. So a pharmacist is someone who has done a degree, a bachelor's degree in pharmacy. So that is the basics. You went to a university, you did a bachelor's degree in pharmacy.
Yeah.
The challenge is that most of our retail pharmacies or chemists or the different names,
Apothecaries.
have the pharmaceutical technologies.
Okay.
But that is now where we are saying we need to define the scope, because now a pharmacist will refuse to give you some medication, but now it doesn't make sense when you walk down the road and you can still get it. So now, for me as a pharmacist, I'll say, no, what's the need of practicing
Yes.
in this area if it's all just about trade and not about the actual ethical practice of pharmacy?
Yes.
So it has a lot to do with, there are no cut-off links,
Yes.
but has a lot to do with decision factors around the medicine.
Yeah, itself.
And Kenyans, by the way, please listen to healthcare providers. When people refuse to give you medicine, don't say apana naenda kutafuta.
Don't fight them.
Don't fight. Nitapata pale.
Sangine nikukataa.
Yes.
But Jana, before you ask the
Yeah.
second question, I have a follow-up on this. On regulation then,
Yes.
the Pharmacy and Poisons Board is the one that licenses pharmacies,
Yes.
chemists.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, can I open a chemist if I don't have any of this training?
No.
Okay. Let's say I have a diploma in PharmTech.
Yes.
Can I open a chemist?
Yes.
So I can be licensed to open a chemist
Yes.
if I have this.
Yes.
Does the Pharmacy and Poisons Board expect me to have a qualified pharmacist?
No.
So the challenge here is in the regulator.
Yes, is in the regulation and the law, because the law now defines the business, or what is called the business of a pharmacist. But somehow within the law, they also added now the enrolled pharmaceutical technologists to actually now manage. And this is unique to Kenya. I would say this is a unique situation to Kenya. There's no other country that practices this way. And the countries that do that, they have a specific schedule of medicines, or they have classified the medicines from a risk-based perspective. And they have decided now, until this level, these are the people who can handle these medicines.
Yeah.
And one of the arguments has been that that we don't have pharmacists in the marginalized areas. We do have. I have Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya has 16 branches. Northeastern is one of my branches. Turkana is one of my branches. So we have pharmacists everywhere. But the argument has been now we don't have people there. So let us allow us to practice.
Yeah.
But are they actually practicing there? Or are we exploring now what the law is saying and using the low-hanging fruit, the easier barrier to entry, and making it a common thing? So that's why, yes. So
Yeah, he's spoken to regulation.
Yes.
In fact, that's what I was going to ask you is, when you were taking up this role, there's a challenge you saw, you must
Yes.
have seen.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if it's staffing, because you've spoken to staffing, supply chain, or regulation. So you've just touched on regulation as probably a key reason why this was important to you.
Yes.
Staffing, do we have enough trained pharmacists? Is deployment the issue? Is that what we're saying?
There is a deployment challenge, number one, because we have 5,000 pharmacists and about 2,000 of them are unemployed, but we have not reached the ratios that that are supposed to be reached from that perspective. So it's now becoming a cost consideration versus a quality consideration. So you asked a very good question. When I was coming into what motivated me to get into the pharmacy profession, to become the president of the Pharmaceutical Society. Number one, I love pharmacy with all my heart. Like, I did pharmacy as a choice. So I saw it as a good career to get into. Secondly, I have had the opportunity to explore and visit very many countries globally, and just to see what a pharmacist is out there, how they practice, what the regulations, not the regulation, but what the practice is there, and how do we make sure that the patient is getting the full benefit of who a pharmacist is. And today, just as a preview, for you to know whether a pharmacy has a pharmacist or a pharmtech, including any of the brands that you would know, how you know is that there are two crosses. So the ones with a green cross, green, two crosses on each side. And if they are compliant to what you call the good distribution practices, regulations, and premise regulations, they should have two crosses. So one is blue, another one is green. So the one that has green has a pharmacist. The one that has blue has a pharmaceutical technologist. Yes. So that is the distinct difference. And even within the law, patient rights, you need to know who your healthcare provider is. When I take my child to hospital, I want to know if it's a medical officer, a clinical officer, or a pediatrician who is seeing my child. So it's the same definition. It is the right of Kenyans to know who is providing care. So for me, the gap has been the scope of practice. We need to define that scope of practice so that Kenyans know and are able to ask the right questions in terms of where or who is handling the medical part of what they're doing.
True. Hey, there's so many questions to get into, but let me just begin with how we do things as far as distinguishing these two. It's going to be very hard to actually undo all the...
Thread it out to the break.
Yeah. Oh, we have to go into the break. Okay. It's going to be very hard to undo some of the things we've gotten used to, but we'll thread right after the break.
Yes.
Hashtag remains Fixing the Nation NTV. Dr. Wairimu is with us. She'll be taking questions, actually, and I'm seeing some already coming in on WhatsApp, but we'll be right back after this.
There was something that you were deliberating
It's the
over the break.
katiba. I think it's a question that Mariam
had asked, yeah.
on the stages. Now that we have somebody who has a bachelor's degree in medicine and surgery,
Yes.
and another one with a bachelor's degree in pharmacy, another one with a diploma in pharmaceutical technology. When I am sick, all these people are playing a role.
Right.
Where do they start? I go to a doctor. Okay, in many cases I'll go and I'll find a clinical officer.
Yes.
Even before I find a medical officer. So let's say I've gone to a majority of people go to a level 2 or level 3. They'll find a clinical officer.
Yes.
Okay? And they diagnose, they prescribe. They'll give me a list and tell me, enda kwa pharmacy, uchukue dawa. Probably in that facility I'll find a pharmacist. So does a pharmacist just read and then go to the counter and give me? Or does a pharmacist ask me questions again?
Two scenarios.
What does the law say, the best global best practice, and then vitu kwa ground?
I like the way you're asking the questions because it's not like there's a line here that says when you receive a prescription, give medicine or ask questions. So there are things that you will see on that prescription that will make a pharmacist ask you a question. So they might ask you a question like, what are we managing? Then they will ask you, especially if they see an antibiotic. If you say like, I just have a flu, and then they see an antibiotic, one of the questions they may ask you is, had you used an antibiotic before? And which antibiotic have you used before? That's one of the questions that could be used, and especially if it's a child. The other question could be to assess whether you actually need this antibiotic based on the symptoms that you have, or based on what we feel could be what you're going through. So we work in a multidisciplinary manner where, there is the doctor, the clinical officer, and then there is the pharmacist, the pharmaceutical technologist. And we are trained now to look at medicines now from a functional perspective and from a safety perspective. One thing I think I want to say today is medicines are chemicals. And when they are not used well, they become poisons. Yes.
Wow, that's important. In fact, that's what we're moving to.
Yes.
Right. Antibiotics, cough syrups.
Yes.
Talk to us about the over-the-counter culture and what shouldn't be. Because I think World Health Organization, there's some medicines that should not be offered over the counter.
Yes.
So why that persists? I know we'll get into Ozempic in just a moment, but you've just talked about the fact that medicine can become poison.
Yes.
Talk to us about some of the glaring concerns you have about the medicines that are consumed so often by Kenyans over the counter that could actually be poisoning them.
So one of the key ones, and it's a global issue, is antibiotics. And I think if I was to simplify it, think of worst case scenario. So worst case scenario is when a patient is in the ICU and when because you have an infection. So when you use antibiotics too early in areas that they are not supposed to be used, what happens is that when you really need them, they do not work.
Resistant.
Yes. Yeah. So they do not work. So a pharmacist is able to rationalize the levels of antibiotics. And sadly, we are seeing that to manage some very common infections, we are hitting hard.
Very strong
Basically,
antibiotic.
we have to hit hard to manage something that should not have been managed with.
Is that
level of
Is that a sign of antibiotic resistance?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
The other thing is that, our country is also talking about the One Health agenda. So also food has an impact on the resistant aspects. So we say that if we're using antibiotics, too many antibiotics in animal care, then it's also coming into our food. And then now it's an environmental resistance that is coming into the picture. And that's one of the major concerns. And the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya, in as much as we are an umbrella body, we also run public health related programs. So one of them that is ongoing, or something that we're doing, and we have even AMR champions, antimicrobial resistant champions all over the country who are pharmacists, has to do with that aspect of antibiotic use and misuse.
Right.
The other concerns have to do with drug use, the real drug use and misuse. The law is very clear on this, on who should handle scheduled medication and the narcotics, what we call the narcotics and psychotropics, and they're the controlled substances. The law, the Narcotics Act, defines that from a pharmaceutical perspective, it is the pharmacist who should store, handle, and deal with the narcotic aspects, right? For you to use that product, you must have a prescription. The prescription needs to be valid in a certain way. So one of the things that as a country that we have to think around is how we are managing the medicines that are narcotics. And pharmacists today are the ones who should stock them.
What are these common medicines that are narcotics, but then, when you use them for ailments, they are just exactly that, but then they're also scheduled narcotics?
They are for a very specific use. So I'm not going to mention them here because, because we don't want to create, to give people ideas what to go and ask. But from a basic level, they are used in mental, they affect the brain most of the time, the central nervous system. They are used to impact the central nervous system, so they are also liable for abuse. So when people know what makes them feel how,
you know where to go.
They sort of know where to go and ask them, but the law is very clear that the control of those medicines is very tight. Yeah.
Famous case in point is Michael Jackson, right? And the doctor coming in to inject.
Anecdotally, you also hear of pharmacies and pharmacists not dispensing cough syrup anymore. What's up with that?
So a cough is a symptom, number one. So most of the time you want to deal with the underlying issue that is causing the cough. Cough syrups traditionally have had ingredients that worsen conditions or mask the real condition that one is going through. So it is not recommended that the first point of use is a cough syrup unless it is impacting on the quality of life of the patient. Yes. So we use cough syrups in a very careful manner, and that's where now the risks are. What is this pharmacist looking at holistically at this patient to define, should we use the cough syrup? Because acidity causes a cough. So let's deal with the acidity. A lung infection or a respiratory. Yes. So it's more of cautionary use where the risks outweigh the benefits. We don't use it, especially in children. Yes.
Henry is asking a question. When medicine expires, does it become more potent or does it lose potency?
That's a good question.
Does the exact expiry date mean something, or can I still take a painkiller that expired at the end of last month?
It's a good question, because I think a lot of people do that.
What's the grace period?
What's the grace period?
I would say, what is the liability period? Let's start with that.
Okay.
So if you take medicine past its use date, then you are responsible for the risks that come with it.
Even the manufacturer sasa amejiondoa.
Yes. Kila mtu.
America expiry date.
America amesema. Yes. Ni kama mkate. You see, like bread. Of course, it says sell by or best
Use
before.
best before.
This. So if you eat it the next day, you know what you're doing to yourself.
That's a you problem.
Yes, it's a you problem.
Okay.
But let's not use medicines past their expiry date. As the Pharmaceutical Society, we are hoping that we can work on a project. Actually, it's something that I'm very passionate about, that focuses on forward and backward logistics. We always think about medicine going from the manufacturer to the
User.
to the patient. But we are looking at ways as how do we deal with the back
Return.
end, because I'm sure if I come to your houses, I will open a pharmacy almost. Yes.
1, 2, 3,
So we
and
need to make sure that we are looking at our environmental aspects of also this medication. And I think it's important that you talk about the journey of the medicine at this point, so that now our conversation is pushed forward. So the pharmacist is able to look at the medicine from the point where it's manufactured to the level where it gets into the patient.
Right.
So there are pharmacists who are in the manufacturing sector, and we have a vibrant local manufacturing sector, by the way, in as much as we import a lot of our medicines. So in that sector, they're looking at quality and making sure the medicine that gets out is good. And then now the medicine maybe moves to a distributor. Then within the distributor, there are also storage and handling aspects, a lot of regulations around how the medicine should be handled. And then it moves to the maybe retail or to the hospital and then to the patient. So there are pharmacists along that journey. So there are pharmacists in manufacturing who are ensuring that the medicines are safe. And then also around that is regulation. So we are the second highly regulated industry after the airline industry. I think we should be the first, I think. But
I mean, same. When
yes.
Same.
So there are pharmacists along all those areas. So think about the pharmacist in manufacturing, think about the pharmacist in the distribution center, think about the pharmacist in the supply chain. And now in Kenya, we are now looking at how do we make our supply chains more efficient to avoid now those expiries from happening, right?
And even callbacks. And
then you have the one who is in the hospital or the pharmacy at the patient care perspective. Then now you have that clinical aspect. Then there are now areas around now that pharmacist, including specialization. Yes.
I'll even get back into the prevalence of counterfeit and fake drugs in Kenya, because that's something we need to talk about. But just as we were going into some of what we see over the counter, very commonly used, is now also things that are fads, but you see them, weight loss drugs that have become very popular. I think licensed elsewhere for weight loss. I don't know how far our regulations go for these drugs. Just explain to us.
So I can give, now when we're talking about regulation, in Kenya you have to register medicine, and then now the pharmacy and prison gives you a license for that medicine. But every medicine has the use it was meant for. And then we have what we call off-label use. So there are a lot of medicines with the use it was intended for. And then along the way, they figured, by the way,
it can also be used for.
It can also be used for something else. So one of them that, is a very big thing, especially in Kenya and globally, has been now the GLP-1 agonist and I would say semaglutide and variants of it. And in Kenya or globally, as long as you tell people they'll do something in an easier manner.
Why not?
They'll always pick the easy. But honestly, it's not the easy way out. So when medicine hits the market, we know about it from studies, but we have not known a lot about it in terms of the use. So we still collect data, safety data, along the use of medicine. Right? So what has been happening is that this particular medicine, it works like the referee in the body. So when you look at the glucose, how you add weight is that we eat and then you get sugar. Then if you've consumed, if you don't need that sugar or you're not using it, it gets stored. That's basically what happens. Then If you continue eating, then you store more. Then now if you're not eating,
You store less.
we store
Burn
less.
whatever you store.
Yes.
Okay.
So when you eat, you get full. So when you get full, there's a hormone or there's something that tells you, by the way, I am full. And that affects the brain, it's in the gut, and also now in also other different organs. So why you're seeing so many side effects is that so this particular drug is the same one as the hormone that tells you stop eating, sort of. It communicates that.
Yep.
It tells the brain we are full.
We are full.
Okay.
So it
Even when we're not.
Even
when we're not.
no.
So the stomach
No,
could
no,
be
no.
empty, but brain is saying full.
Yes, sort
Okay.
of. That's why when if you eat and then if you eat and then now after some time you're very hungry, then if you don't eat at that point, you go back.
Okay.
Yes, so there's an element of satiety that is within our brain, and it's something that you can teach yourself.
Okay.
So now this medicine, now that's what it's able to do, but it's supposed to be used from a diabetes perspective, where it tells it's when you have enough sugar in your body, it tells it to stop. It's time for insulin to come in and mop out the sugar. But the other effect is that it has shown that it's very good at people are not eating as frequently or your satiety center, because if you're very full today and you continue eating, you'll get nausea.
You'll throw
Your body
up,
will
yeah.
say no. So that's what it's actually doing.
Okay.
Yes. So sadly is that if you use it in populations that don't need it, then you have other effects, because the body has its own natural way of regulating that. So
Is it,
So, Dr.
let me start
Wairimu.
with,
Yeah.
Is it approved for the use of diabetes management in Kenya? Let's start from there. Because you said there's what a medicine is intended for, and then we have off-label uses.
Yes.
So are these GLPs, semaglutides, used for diabetes in Kenya,
Yeah.
regulated for that? And then are they regulated for weight loss in Kenya?
So in Kenya, we do not register what you call indications. So we leave the doctor's perspective to make a decision on what we can use this medicine best for you.
Okay.
So that is the basic principle. We have trusted, and we do trust our healthcare providers to make the right decisions for you.
Okay.
So the sad thing is that I think we got this information too early, and we don't really care too much about the risks. Like we are more of kaende tutapatana mbele. Yes. So we have brands that are registered in Kenya for diabetes use. We do have brands that are registered, but you can see that many people are exploring this for the weight loss aspects. And yes, it can be used, but with caution. So there are tests that a medical doctor, you have to do a battery of tests, but they just don't go and start getting injections. Like we have to check whether your liver is okay, your pancreas is okay. Like there are so many things we need to check that you're okay, and then make a decision whether you can actually use it, and then keep monitoring. Like keep monitoring, and these tests are expensive. They are expensive. So people are now using the easy way out.
Yes.
So if it's not registered, the Pharmacy and Poisons Board has a pathway. They have a pathway as to how to bring in an unregistered product based on named patient basis.
Okay.
So a specific patient needs it.
Okay.
They need to use this medication.
Yeah.
Then
It's
we can
registered
allow
elsewhere.
it. It's registered elsewhere for diabetes, by the way. So this patient can
use it.
We trust
for
that this doctor knows why the patient needs it,
Okay.
so the medicine can come in. But sadly, there have been loopholes and gaps.
So there's abuse of the system.
Yeah.
My question is to the society, the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya,
Yes.
as the body of professionals,
Yes.
and you can see the dangers that the public is subjecting itself to. What are you doing about it?
So, good question. One is number one, information, but do we listen? Like
What information?
you
Where?
know,
You haven't seen any.
Have
you
you?
have not seen
Have
it
you
hasn't
seen-
been as
have-
strong.
I
And,
saw you
and that's
started.
part
Now
of
we
the
have started.
criticism.
So now
Have you
we've
seen
started.
pharmacists
So now we've
actually
started.
coming
We are
out?
here.
I saw the Pharmacy and Poisons Board
Yes.
put out a press statement.
Yes.
Huh?
That's the Pharmacy and Poisons Board.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye. Now continue.
Yes.
And the-
so now
the
there's the,
practitioners.
Yes. the
so now there's
practitioners.
the information aspect, and that's why we are here today. You know, that's why we are there. We are saying we're going to use the channels that are there to communicate what is right and what is not right, and what is safe and what is not safe. Number two, we are working very closely with the regulator because we inform them, or when we see that there are certain risks, we inform them and encourage them to take action
Right.
on certain principles. Number three, from a policy perspective, we feel it's about time that the PSK, or the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya, was within the law, that for you to be a pharmacist, you have to be a member of the Pharmaceutical Society of
Makes
Kenya.
sense.
And then now, the rules and regulations that are within that whole aspect are enforceable. So today, if someone is doing something wrong, I may take them through a disciplinary committee, then they'll go through a disciplinary committee at the Pharmacy and Poisons Board. But I could take them through a disciplinary committee and then they don't get to the Pharmacy and Poisons Board committee. So it's more of, let's strengthen the professional position. And I'm not talking about just pharmacy, even all these other across the board. Let's strengthen self-regulation, because we know what is right and what is wrong.
We
And-
customers.
No,
Oh,
the
sorry.
professionals.
Professionals do.
Najimulika
So
tu.
what have
Sorry.
you done? Have you drafted a bill? Have you drafted regulations and taken them to the regulator and said, please forward this to Parliament?
Yeah.
Apart from just talking about it.
Yes.
Because I'm very big on this. Professionals are out here telling us, people have misused antibiotics such that we have high levels of antimicrobial resistance.
Yes.
It's a pandemic in this country.
Yeah.
Yet, professionals have just been sitting there as we are doing it. We don't go to the pharmaceutical manufacturer to get these antibiotics. We get them from somebody who is licensed to dispense at some point, whether you'll call them a farm tech or a pharmacist.
Yes.
You've been giving us these things. We've been taking them. They're harming us. Now, you're giving us these things that we are using for weight loss, and you're saying they're harming us, plus all these other things. No. I want more.
I agree with the anger. We have to say that enough is enough. So what the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya, and for me, my commitment, as I have said, is that we are committed to the highest attainable standard of care.
Yeah.
So number one, we have laws in Parliament. So like we have what you call the Kenya Health KHPTRA, Kenya Health Products and Technologies Regulatory Authority Bill, that is in Senate. It's actually sitting in Senate. We are still giving our comments because we feel that there are loopholes or there are gaps in that law that that might not favor the position. Please note that in pharmacy, there has to be a balance between the trade
And the healthcare.
and the healthcare.
Yeah. Okay.
Most people are interested in the trade
I get, yes.
aspect.
And that's-
Pharmaceutical Society fights for the safety and the healthcare aspects. So note that we might not be a favorite.
Of the commerce.
Yes, of the commerce and of
But you're
it.
doing the work.
But we are doing the work. So we have given our comments. Then within that, we envision to have a pharmacy practice bill. And the Pharmacy and Poisons Board has started with what you call a good pharmaceutical practice guideline that is separating like the roles clearly, who is supposed to do what. The government also has what you call the QHPS, Quality Healthcare Patient Safety Bill, that we gave our comments as well.
Yes.
But the powers also lie within the board. In every law, the powers are within the board.
Yeah.
So our position is that accreditation is where the gap is.
Right, and it
in
should
the-
lie with the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya.
Yes.
Sorry, just because of time, there's two things I don't want to let go before
Yeah.
we go, and that's fakes and counterfeits and their
Okay.
prevalence. So one, what is the society doing to, because there's a lot of fake drugs in the market, that's one. Then last question here, is there a case for the use of medical cannabis in Kenya, or is it simply a blanket ban? That's from Sam Kiwinda. Speak to, the fakes and counterfeits, how we can protect ourselves as consumers and what the society is doing.
Okay.
And then the medical case for cannabis use.
So first of all, when it comes to counterfeits, but they just buy medicine from a licensed pharmacy.
Mtajuaje ako license?
Check. By the way, Kenyans, angalia, there's a license. If you go to a pharmacy, there's a license.
Yeah.
Ask who is serving you. Let us just not walk into shops like walking into a supermarket to pick soda or water.
Milk for the
You know,
day.
even milk we check.
Yeah.
Expires kugani.
True,
You know,
true,
we actually check.
Yeah, true.
And we are careful about where we buy some of these things.
Yeah.
So that is the first point of entry. Buy your medicines from a regulated source. Because what happens is that we have laws. I have to buy from a regulated source backwards. And this medicine has to have come from, has to have been imported by the distributor or the importer from a regulated, there are permits. There are permits
All
across that supply chain line.
Okay.
So when we move away from that, it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Manufacturers are also very good at informing us, us
When
in the
there's a-
chain,
yes.
us who are in the chain, when there's a problem.
True.
So it has to go with the channel, but we are actively working with the regulatory authority, which is the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, from an information intelligence perspective. When we realize that there are porous areas,
Okay.
so we notify them, and there are also very many authorities that we work with
Alright.
to make sure that happens.
It's a good place
Yes.
to start.
Yeah.
In 30 seconds, the question from Sam, a case for the use of medical cannabis in Kenya. Is there one?
So we call it evidence-based medicine. So if there is evidence that it is usable, I think we need to do studies, and that's what we practice in Kenya. Yes, it's based on studies. We focus on evidence-based medicine. And we have 9 schools of pharmacy right now, universities training pharmacists. So we have enough pharmacists in Kenya.
All right.
Yes.
To even do the research.
To do everything. Yes. To do
Fantastic.
everything. Yes.
That's Dr. Wairimu Mbogo. She's been speaking to us about when is it medicine, when is it poison. Yeah,
Yep.
that very, very thin line. In the next hour, we'll be speaking trauma. Leo ni madaktari. Tumesema ni back to back to back. But
Multidisciplinary.
Multidisciplinary. Hashtag is fixing the nation, and TV will be right back after this break.